want to introduce my grandmother, Karen Rudd, a registered nurse who lives in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. How has COVID-19 affected you at home?
It's affected me at home in that I am at home a whole lot more than I used to be. I either go to work or I'm at home unless I run out to the grocery store. And I don't go to the grocery store nearly as frequently as I used to. So I'm at home a whole lot more. We are trying to maintain the social distancing and stay at home as much as possible.
Okay. How has it affected you at your work?
A lot of things have happened at work. I guess kind of the first things I think about are when I get to work, the parking lot's pretty empty, and it used to be packed. And then as I go into the cancer center building, which is where my office is, I have on a map as soon as I get out of my car, and my temperature is taken just as I enter the cancer center. And then I go up to my office and I put my stuff down, I take off my mask, and my mask goes into a brown paper bag. I reuse that mask for several days as long as it's not soiled. The other thing at work is there aren't any visitors at work that are allowed into the hospital now, so the halls are empty. It's very quiet. And a lot of we're all allowed to work from home when we can. So there's usually 5 people in my office every day, but now there's probably only 2 any day of the week. Everybody else is trying to work from home so that we are trying to maintain that social distancing.
Okay, I heard you got furloughed. Is that true?
Yeah, that was a big surprise. But as it turns out, a lot of the departments in the hospital have sort of closed down because of COVID-19. And a lot of the surgeries, the surgeries that are called elective surgeries that people choose to do, they're not doing those. And they're not doing a lot of the other surgeries they would be doing that maybe not be elective, trying to prevent the chance of bringing in COVID-19 and spreading it within the hospital. And because of that, the hospital has lost a whole lot of revenue, millions and millions of dollars. So the powers that be, the administration, decided they needed to figure out a way to try to recoup some of that money. So what they've done is almost all the doctors have taken a pay cut to their regular pay, and many of the other people that work there who do jobs such as mine, there's a whole lot of people that don't actually do bedside nursing, but everybody has been required to take 1 week of furlough a month for 4 months. And that's the hospital's way of trying to save money and recoup some money. So they're not in the red, I think they call it, when they're kind of, they don't have the working funds to keep the hospital going. They've spent a whole lot of money in making plans for COVID and changing things and setting up stations and tents, and it's just really taking a toll on the hospital. So I was on furlough this week.
Okay, do you think furlough's a good thing? Like, so you could go spend time with your family, like?
Well, number 1, I enjoyed my week off. Number 2, I have a job to go back to. But the bad thing is that I will be taking a 25% pay cut every month for the next 4 months at least. And that's kind of, it's kind of the bad part about it is you get a pretty significant pay cut.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, you work on the cancer center, right? The cancer
That
center.
is correct. I'm a coordinator with the Stem Cell Transplant and Cellular Therapy Department, which is bone marrow transplant.
Okay. Has COVID-19 been the number one priority, or has your job still been the same as it always was, other than the mask and the like how good you're feeling and how good or bad it is?
I think that COVID-19 is all over the place, and there's all kinds of emails and updates and messages and instructions on how to practice and keep going with our patients. But I don't think patients in the cancer center, I mean, they still get priority. They are still getting the appropriate care they need. We don't transplant as many patients right now as we used to, but my particular area of transplant has really not slowed down. My area of transplant is involved with blood cancers, and which means the different leukemias and bone marrow problems. And so these types of situations can't be put on a back burner or be put off. They have to be moved forward. So we are continuing to work with this type of patient and trying to get them lined up for transplant and find donors for them so that we can keep moving with their transplants.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how packed is the hospital? Is it more packed or less packed?
Oh, there are many, many empty hospital beds. Many empty beds. So it's a whole lot less patients than there usually is.
Would you get significantly more patients from COVID-19 than the flu that you get?
Probably not, as thus far. The difference is COVID-19 is so new, and sometimes it's real dangerous. A lot of people can die from it, and it happens real quickly, and we don't have any vaccines to prevent it. So the novelty of it being so new, is what's caused all the big uproar, I think.
Have you done any COVID-19 research yourself, or have you just learned stuff from your job in office?
I haven't done research, but I am participating in a clinical trial right now where I get a little questionnaire survey every day, and they sent me a COVID-19 testing kit for me to be tested to see if I was positive or if I have been exposed to it, if I have any antibodies. So, I want to participate and help in clinical trials in any way I can, but I'm not involved in conducting any clinical trials.
Okay, so how long do you think the pandemic will last? How long do you think will affect us? And do you think the worst is yet to come, or the worst is already passed?
Okay, that's a lot of questions. First of all, I'm going to say I think the worst is past. The reason I say that is at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, we know a whole lot more about it now than we used to. So that reason, we're continuingly to get knowledge and change our practice and do things, and there's lots of research trying to come up with vaccines and do things to help prevent the spread and to help treat the ones that are treated. So I think the world task, but I do not think it's going to go away anytime soon. I think it may be, 9 to 12 months before there may be a vaccine available that people can take that can prevent them from getting the COVID-19. Of course, nobody knows that answer. Even the scientists that are doing the studies don't really know that answer.
Okay, well, I heard you talking a little about a vaccine test that you guys have. Do you give Papa T, my grandfather, the test, or would you just give yourself the test and not your family?
The clinical trial that I'm on, he is not participating mainly because he doesn't go online on his computer, and that's how the survey questions are rendered. So because he's not real computer savvy, he can't be on the study.
Okay. Do you think the flu is worse than coronavirus? Because a lot of people say the coronavirus spreads faster, but it's not as strong. But
we just know so much more about the flu, and that's what makes different situations not as bad. The fact that we know so little about coronavirus and we don't have any good ways to treat it yet, and we don't have vaccines to prevent it, that's what makes it so bad right now, and it is so very contagious. So that's the reason it seems to be such a horrible and bad disease, and it's a pandemic, because it spreads like crazy. If you're exposed to somebody, it spreads just unbelievably fast.
Okay, well, I have my dad here, and he's going to talk a little about the research he does on coronavirus.
All right.
Well, I just do my own research because I don't really, I like to actually look at source documents. So I actually don't like to read news articles. So I actually go to the actual source documentation and do my own statistics. My thought is with the coronavirus is that in the COVID-19 is that there are really no good statistics, because the statistics that are being reported have been reported by people who are not statisticians. And I think that the basis of the statistics has not been properly sampled. It has not been properly defined. And there is so much misinformation about the statistics that I've done my own statistical research on things. And from what I have looked at, a number of things is that the death rate, we have no real good idea what the death rate is at all. But one of the things that I've done is looked at the overall death rates in the United States going back to 1890. And ironically, death rates had been declining in the United States for about 20 years. Most death rates are measured as per 1,000 people. And death rates actually started to increase in the United States in 2014. Nobody really knows why. There's some people who think they know why, and there are some guesses, but there's really not been anything done. But in the United States, we have about 3 million people that die per year, and these are per the CDC, the guidelines. And some of the biggest causes of death are heart disease, accidents is a high risk area, and another two of the top causes of death in the United States are lower respiratory issues and respiratory issues, which many people are passing away from the contract COVID-19, and then also the flu. And so one of the things that I've looked at is how many deaths that is per year. And per year in the United States, the flu and the lower respiratory issues account for about 220,000 deaths per year, which is about 20,000 per month. And when I've read the CDC guidelines about how they report deaths, you actually don't have to have to test positive for COVID-19, and you get counted in the statistics now, and those will all go back and get cleaned up eventually via blood tests and proper accounting and whatnot. But what I think is that we're seeing a very normal death rate now in the United States, if not a lower death rate than what we would typically see from the flu and from the lower respiratory issues. I'm not saying that people aren't getting sick or it's not speeding up people from dying, but I don't think overall this year, based on the statistical research I've done, is that there's going to be an anomaly of an increase of deaths in the United States. I actually think there's going to be actually a decrease in the death rate in the United States for the first time since 2014 and 2020, based on statistical research that I've done. Anyway, Larkin wanted me to talk about that. That's just some of the stuff I've done on the side. I'm not a scientist or a statistician, but I do think I'm pretty good at statistics. But I'll pass it back over to Larkin Reich, my son.
Okay, well, my computer's about to die, and Kiki's about to get off. So that's it. See you later.